reinventing who we are, just like we reinvent the games.
And I can tell you right now, we're having a ball. And we have just, a lot of plans for the future of a lot of cool things we want to do.
Okay, cool. Well, first off, I just want to say thank you guys again very much. We had you on here about 3 months ago, back in July. We were talking Hero U, and very much appreciate that you guys are coming on again, and we're very excited to talk about your latest project, which is Summer Daze at Hero U. And so I think that's what we're going to focus on. We'll share some info about the Kickstarter, and we'll talk about that.
And what I just realized recently is that with all these podcasts and such is you always have to spell it out as Summer Daze, D-A-Z-E.
Yes, yes. I actually put that in my notes just because. Yeah.
I have to say that a lot.
Yep. Summer Daze, D-A-Z-E, at Hero U, as in U like university.
And it's Hero-U.
Hero-U.
We'd like to make things difficult.
Yeah, and so very, very quickly, for those who don't know, we're talking to Lori and Corey Cole, lead honchos at Transolar Games. They are the masterminds behind Quest for Glory. Corey did Castle of Dr. Brain, Shannara. The both of you have been involved in so much, and for anyone that wants to dive into their older stuff, as I said, we had them on back in July. That's episode 37. Highly recommend. If any of those titles rang a bell and you haven't heard that interview, check it out. You guys were awesome. We had so much fun, and I'd love for the listeners to check that out if you haven't, because this episode I would really like to focus on what's going on currently. They've got a new project, as we said, Summer Daze, D-A-Z-E, at Hero U. It's currently about, halfway through the Kickstarter? We got, 10 days left?
It's got about,
about 10 days to go.
10 days to go. It's almost over.
Almost over. And where are we at currently, gang?
Last I looked, it was 65,000. The goal is just under 100,000.
All right.
And that's, by Kickstarter standards, that's doing really well. But, of course, it's, fingernail biting for us, watching it slowly creep up. But that's just the way Kickstarter works.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of Kickstarter, if I remember correctly, y'all did Hero U the same way, correct? You did a Kickstarter for that?
Yeah, we started out with a Kickstarter to even begin the project altogether. And then later on, after it was 4 years of production, we had a
2.5 years.
2.5, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Seems like forever. We had another one.
Yeah, so it was turned out to be an over 5-year project. We totally misguessed it at 1 year because we were remembering the Sierra days when we had full-time teams all in the same room. And it was a lot different doing it with people around the world.
And it helps if you have what you're going to do right up front from the beginning instead of improvising the entire time.
Which is why we're doing Summer Daze at Hero U a completely different way. Instead of saying, we should do a game set at our School for Heroes. And, I guess it'll feature a rogue. And, okay, let's put it on Kickstarter. Instead, with Summer Daze, Lori's been writing scripts, and Sydney Hamilton prototyped it. Our artists have been working on it for more than a year. The game is really far along, and we are actually realistically planning on getting it out late next year.
That's fantastic. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there is a demo up on Steam, correct?
Yes, there's a demo available both on Steam, on the Summer Daze at Hero U demo page. I think it also is linked to for the main Summer Daze at Hero U page. And it's also available on itch.io for some people who don't like Steam.
Cool. Good. I mean, yeah, it's from my memory, after 3 kids, shoddy that it may be, I was really surprised pleasantly to see that, like, when the Kickstarter had went live, there was already a demo to check out. You know, there was already something to really get a look at what y'all are doing. And I guess, like, how has the experience been different so far between Hero U and Summer Days? I mean, aside from like the design process and the Kickstarter, what are you finding to be different this time around? You know, as you're now halfway through your Kickstarter, is there other differences that really stand out to you?
Well, for one thing, it's nice to actually know what you're doing, have everything in place, and be able to show the audience, the fans, just exactly what they're going to get when they, look at our Kickstarter. They can tell this is the game that is going to be an exciting, beautiful game right from the beginning.
And you said other than the design process, but the one thing that we did look at is that we had a completely, as I said, a completely open-ended plan for what we're going to do with Road to Redemption. We actually changed the art style twice during the course of the project based on the team we had. So this one, we made sure that we've got the art in there from the beginning, and we've gone for a scope where the story is every bit as big and complex as Road to Redemption, which was by far the biggest game we've ever made. But we're keeping it controlled by eliminating some of the things like walking around characters and pixel hunting that we think don't really add to the game, but cost an enormous amount of development time. So it's a little more controlled process than before.
Yeah, I'd like to think of Summer Days as a distilled game. Okay. It's down to the essence of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's particularly the essence of storytelling because Lori has told amazing stories in all of our games.
Yes.
I'm sort of the keep the wheels greased person, whereas Lori does most of the heavy lifting and story and puzzle writing. But I get my little piece in there too. But this is so we're keeping the same kind of quality story that is episodic. It's in not episodic as in a piece of a game being released, but in the sense that as you talk to different characters, you get little pieces of the story, and you're in a sense collaborating with Lori to write your own story every time you play the game, because the path you choose, you probably will not do it twice in a row.
Yeah, there's so many different characters, and there's so many different approaches to getting to the end of the game, so that in effect it's always replayable because you never have the same game twice.
We also have 2 viewpoint characters in this game instead of 1. For Road to Redemption, we tried to keep it in scope by making it just one character, Sean O'Connor. This time you can play as either Tilly Appleberry, who is a rogue student in the summer semester before Sean gets to school. Mm-hmm. So this is a prequel. Or you can play
as Ifeokina, who is a wizard student, and you get to meet his classmates and the students that he meets along the way trying to accomplish his goal, so that we have 2 stories set in the same location, but the characters are all different and the stories become very, very different. So it's two games in one.
This is
I
really
think of it as
exciting.
more like 2,000 games in one, because there's so many baths through it.
I just have to laugh. I've interviewed another developer that had done adventure games, and he was trying to do a sort of not a visual novel, but a very kind of similar, very heavy branching game. And he's like, you should just see the wall of my design room of all the branching paths this can take. And he goes, you don't realize how crazy it gets until you start getting several decisions in. And I can only imagine if you're running two different stories in a sense in the same game that you can completely experience is really something like that. I don't know. That's just really exciting to me, especially now when you look. These kind of games are starting to become very popular again. I say again because they've always kind of had a niche corner, but it seems like more and more people want to play games like this. You hear about games like Danganronpa, and where it's very story driven. Like you said, it's very distilled into, I think, what makes adventure games so much fun. So it's really cool to see, Summer Days kind of becoming its own thing in this genre. It's really wild.
Yeah, it's effectively designed for a different kind of game philosophy, in effect. I mean, it's the kind of game you can play anywhere at any time. I mean, and you can pick it up on your phone, and you can play it on your phone traveling someplace. It's got that kind of quality that, it's entertainment distilled.
And then put it on your Nintendo Switch, and just the save will do cloud saves, so you can go back and forth between devices, and it's a lot like having your Kindle or your your Fire or device of your choice around. So you're reading a book, and you just don't have time to finish it all at once, so you can pick it up somewhere else and continue.
You see, folks, all the major game companies trying to do crossplay right now, and the Coles have got it in the bag. Go Transolar.
or so we believe. Actually, we've just seen the first prototype of our previous game, Road to Redemption, on the Switch. I'm getting ready to sign a contract to get that converted to the Switch. You heard it here first.
Wow!
Assuming it works.
Well, so far, they did manage to compile the game, and it does run on the Switch. The controls will be another huge bit of work. But anyway, I was going to say, we've always been kind of mavericks. When Sierra brought us in, they didn't actually bring us in to make an adventure game. They were looking at Ultima and games like that and wanted us to do a role-playing game. And we said, well, that's nice, but your system's designed around storytelling. And, we come from a tabletop RPG environment in which storytelling is the thing. So why don't we make something that crosses the adventure game with role-playing, tabletop role-playing? And then we went on to, I did Castle of Dr. Brain, and there we took your character out of the scene. You don't see yourself at all, which was different from every other Sierra game, but uses the exact same engine. And on that one, I said, okay, let's make a puzzle adventure game. And then with Road to Redemption, we kind of added a school simulation aspect to the adventure and role-playing.
And we really went heavy on the role-playing so that it was very much a strong role-playing adventure game.
Yeah.
In addition to everything else.
Yeah, so we made, the stats much more explicit and important. And we, upped the things you could do in combat.
And the inventory. I mean, the concept of being able to clothe your character in different equipment. So all of those things were classic role-playing aspects.
So in summary, none of the games we do are ever straight adventure games. There are always some sort of a hybrid and bringing different things. And Summer Daze is no exception. In addition to adventure games, we were inspired by things like Magical Diary and Long Live the Queen, and specifically by Dream Daddy.
Yeah, those were good ones. Yeah.
So we'd like to take the essence of other games that we really enjoy and put it into our games, because it's always an evolution of what works and what is fun, and just be creative with it.
And you guys have always kind of done that. I mean, that's kind of how all your games have come to be what they are. You've taken what you've enjoyed and, put it into the game that you want to play. And this just gets more and more exciting to me now. It's like, all right, we got a Kickstarter to push everybody, and we want everybody to go check this out. And seriously, Summer Daze, DAZE at Hero-U on Kickstarter. There's 10 days left. Let's get this over the line, because this game is going to be fun. And the fact that, just to go a little further, when you're saying you're going to release this on Switch, and, this has a mobile portability, there's such a big market there, especially on the Switch, where these kind of games have really found a new home, in a sense, amongst the owners of Switches, fans of Nintendo Switch. So that's really awesome to see that, Hero-U is going to be breaking into that market as well.
Yeah, and we're just hoping we can actually reach that audience, because we know when people play our games, they love them. I mean, and I'm not, blowing my own horn. I'm just responding to user reviews and so on. So if you go to either Steam or GOG and you look up Hero-U Road to Redemption, you'll find that they're rated very positive on both of those. So we're getting, 80% to 90% review ratings from, some very cynical reviewers. So the problem is that most people never try them. They never see the game.
Yeah.
And same thing with our Kickstarter right now is we just need people to look at it and play the demo and watch the videos and decide for themselves, because we think that if you get to that Kickstarter page, you're going to find it compelling.
Besides, it's delightful. It's you don't use that description very often with going with a computer game, but it's lovely. It's very charming. The color style palette, the characters are all made to be bigger than life, but yeah, very inviting to play this game, because it does have more of a lighthearted, more of a fun aspect to the whole style and story.
Yeah, it's it's funny because you talk about computer game designers and people sort of think of designer and developer as synonymous, but we don't do these games ourselves. We work with a team to do it. We have artists, we have a musician, and so on. And so we are ourselves delighted. And that's when Laurie says it's delightful. It's because we're so, I guess surprised is too strong a word, because we know John Paul Selwood is an amazing artist and Al Eufrazio is a really good animator. But it's just like Laurie told them what kind of characters and what kind of scenes she wanted. And JP just smoothly transitioned from, designing 3D environments for Road to Redemption to making a beautiful storybook style backgrounds and wonderful, evocative characters for this game. So it's gorgeous. We have Brandon Bloom is going to be composing the music for this. He did the music for Mage's Initiation, Reign of the Elements, and he's super talented. So we're really excited about what's coming up here.
That is exciting, and Mage's Initiation is another good one, and the music particularly stood out to me. So that's awesome to see that Brandon has come on board for this one as well. And the art style of Summer Days at Hero U, even again just looking at the screenshots on Steam and the stuff y'all have released on the web page and your Discord channel, is just absolutely beautiful. It's something like I can't wait to dive into. And I have 3 younger children, and depending on content obviously, but it's something I could see sitting and reading to them as showing them another kind of book. That was the kind of thing that got me into computer games in general when I was younger. I remember my dad was playing, I wish I could even remember the game now, but he was just reading the pictures. It was one of those interactive fiction games by I can't remember the studio, but they did a ton of them back in the 80s on like Commodore 64, and I just remember that being such a draw to me as a child, like a story that I could control. So it's something like I look forward to this succeeding and sharing it with my own kids.
And this is the right kind of game for that. It is visually appealing, and it's subject matter. Well, it is an adult game in the sense that you have to really work at these things, and it's not just pure storytelling. So it isn't just a book. You have to figure out how to go about and solving the problems and what decisions you make towards getting towards the end. But any kid can help you make those decisions. It's an ideal situation, and I really just like reading to your kids. I think playing games with your kids is a great way to have a great bond with your kid and really give them a whole feeling of love and affection and a lifetime love for games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my brother played original Quest for Glory games and mixed up fairy tales and Castle Dr. Brain with his 3-year-old daughter sitting in his lap, and she grew up to become a gamer and a cosplayer and so on, and it sticks. But this game in particular, we have there's not a lot of violence in it, and what we have is cartoon violence effectively, and there's no real sexual situations. There's nothing that is inappropriate for children,
right?
But we don't talk down to anyone either. It's an adult storytelling thing, and it's a real adult.
But then all of our
situation.
games have been, universal effectively. Our Hero U, our original Quest for Glory games, people played them when they were 8 years old, and
Yep.
now they're still playing them. So that's the kind of style we like to go with, something that just, it relates on a deeper level, and you get more and more out of it every time you play.
Yeah, that was the point I was actually just about to bring up. Is I did play those games when I was very young, and I can't think of any other game by any other developer that I will go back and play multiple times. Like I'm about to do another playthrough on Hero U Road to Redemption. I don't find that in a lot of games except for your games, and I think I could never really answer why, but that nails it. Is that there's something there for everybody, no matter what your age is, no matter, mainly that it's an audience of everybody, and that's really awesome.
Well, the other thing is that how I approach game design is it's always, what does the player want to do? It's never, an author gets to say, oh, well, I've got these lovely characters and I want them to do this, this, and this. And most authors actually find that the characters wind up doing what they want to do. But they have generally control over the situation. And eventually they know exactly where they want the book to go. But in a game, you don't control anything. You present in a situation and then you say, okay, now what's the thing I'd like the player to do? Yeah, this is great. Yeah, we'll but you know that the player's not going to pick necessarily the one you really want. So you got to let the player have the agency to feel like this is what I want to do.
Although, and Lori often surprises herself as she's writing these things. So she generally, has the general plot laid out for her, the general storyline, knows the characters and so on. But then as she's doing the actual writing, it's done in a design editor that lets her not just write words, but also, set facial expressions for the characters and do things to like change her stats and set tags. Used to call them flags, call them tags that say, okay, you did this thing. So now you get into a dialogue choice, and you pick a particular dialogue choice, and the game can say, okay, we asked about ghosts. And then later in the game, Lori, makes notes in all of these and what tags she's used and so on. So later on, she'll be talking to a character and say, oh, well, there's the possibility that the player asked about ghosts earlier, and if so, we're going to have an entirely different dialogue option here, and possibly even a different event. So, that's why these things get immensely complicated, but it's also, part of it is emergent storytelling that, as Lori is writing it, that she realizes, what you did before actually has repercussions now, and I guess I better cover that. And that's why Road to Redemption is 2.5 times the amount of dialogue that was in Quest for Glory 4.
Yeah. Wow, it's just neat to see, again, that behind the scenes difference between telling a story and letting somebody play and tell their own story. I think that's always been the universal appeal of what makes games such a popular medium, especially to people like me who love to read. It's like, well, now I can run the story. Now I can control the story, to a degree, and I think that's always been a big draw to me. Going back to the Kickstarter that guys are doing for Summer Daze, you have been doing a lot of live streaming events, and for those who have missed out, you're missing out on a hell of a lot of fun. But I don't, and again, I may not have been as close to the ground as during Hero U as I am now with what y'all are doing. But you seem to be doing a lot of these. And how has that experience been for you so far, doing these live streaming events?
Well, just like every game that we've ever done, it's like starting over from the beginning, and we're working with an entirely different situation. Well, every Kickstarter we've ever done has been a different situation. And now we're going into the live streams and doing regular live streaming. So yeah, once again, we're reinventing who we are, just like we reinvent the games.
Yeah, I just read a thing on BBC that was talking about podcasts and what was the one podcast about the person that was in prison for murder? Anyway, they said basically that one completely changed the environment. What surprised me was discovering that was something like 2015. It wasn't that long ago that the entire podcast world changed and became a viable category. And same thing with our live streams and doing video streaming. When Lori shot the videos that we used for our original Kickstarter, she used her Canon camera in filming mode, and we spent 2 days trying to record a 2-minute video, and it was just painful and awkward and everything else. And now you just run something like Streamlabs and connect up with Twitch or YouTube, and you just do it, and it's just so much easier and smoother and a lot of fun. You really get to connect with the people who are watching, can make comments all through it and stuff like that.
And we play games. So that's what we're doing. We're going to have another live stream on Saturday, next Saturday, which is tomorrow if you're actually playing this then.
I imagine this podcast will go out later. But yeah, every Saturday for the next few weeks, 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific time, we're doing live streams on twitch.tv/Transolar Games. And Transolar only has one S in the middle, but it's twitch.tv/Transolar Games. And just, subscribe to our channel, all the things that are coming up. We have a special event coming up for Halloween. We're going to
do a marathon.
Because we're crazy.
Yeah, we are. We're doing a marathon playing of Quest for Glory 4, Shadows of Darkness.
Ooh.
Which is about the opposite in tone to Summer Days of Hero You.
Very dark.
So Summer Days is all designed to be, charming and fun and cheerful, especially when you're playing Tilly Appleberry's story, because she's the mischievous rogue who really doesn't care what people think and just wants to have fun. And Feo's story is a little more serious, but it's still not really dark. Whereas Shadows of Darkness it's comedic. There's a lot of silly stuff in it, but it really is a pretty dark scenario.
And a dark environment to tell a story. So it's very Halloween-y.
My favorite
yes, we really look forward to spending the day playing the game and talking with people. And we have a lot of prizes we're going to give out, for trivia questions and problem solving from our players, so that we make these live streams interactive. We want these to be part of the game that they're playing when audiences join in and watch.
So the challenge to all this stuff and doing a Kickstarter is that every one of them is a full-time job, and we don't have that many fools. We have lots of fools, not too much full-time. So writing press releases, doing Kickstarter updates on 3 different Kickstarter campaign pages, and doing the live streams. We have a Patreon, we have a Facebook, we have Twitter. So we're trying to keep up with all these media, and large companies have a team that just is responsible for that. We just basically are taking a little over a couple months away from game development to run this.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Can't do it all at once, but we try.
Well, I have to say, based on what you've been doing over the past couple months, like, this has been a real treat as a fan, to be able to interact with you and Lori as you've, worked on developing Summer Days. The trivia contest you guys did, I think that was last weekend. That was an absolute trip. It was funny, and it was a lot of fun. And so for anybody listening, like, again, tune into the Transolar Games Twitch page, or, they're follow them on Twitch, because these things are a real blast, especially if you're a fan of their work, whether it's Quest for Glory, Hero U, or even if you're not, and this sounds, if you're a new fan or a potential new fan, and this sounds intriguing to you, I highly recommend checking it out. These have been a really good time, and I've really enjoyed them. This just clicked in my head, and I'm sorry it's a little hopping around here. But Tilia Appleberry, you said?
Tilly, Tilly.
So, as a super fan, is that any relation to Amelia Appleberry, a healer of Spielberg?
Well, yes and no. She is the adopted daughter of Amelia.
Really? Oh, that's so cool.
And so, yeah, all of these things tie together. It's like we've got this giant universe of story that all fits together in different relationships and different ways. And in Summer Days, it's no exception. There are several characters that tie back to the original stories in the original Quest for Glory games.
Now, Tilly doesn't look at all like her adopted mom, but that's okay, because one of the things that we're really trying to do with this game is it's really about diversity. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you have a half-elf female character, half fairy, whatever, in Tilly, and then we have a black man from essentially the Yoruba tribe as our male character for the wizard character. And each of them is really different person and has a different way of approaching life, is, approached differently by their friends and other people. So, you really get a completely different story each time.
Yeah, effectively, when I create a game that's a role-playing game, you really get to play a role. You really get to become those characters and get to see the world through their point of view and the way they react to the world. And so therefore you get to see a little part of their lives as well.
Yeah, Lori becomes a different person when she's writing Tilly.
That's kind of a writer thing, though. I get that. I totally get that. So any outside of live streaming, cons are a big thing, nowadays, to where a lot of, fans of gaming can go, to a particular convention and meet, people like you and Lori that they've always admired. And I feel like it's a kind of another big avenue, not just for promotion, but just for fan interaction. Are there any cons that you guys will be going to in the near future, in support of Summer Days?
Nothing coming up real soon. We just did PAX in Seattle over the Labor Day weekend, end of August, beginning of September. We have a bit of a problem. I don't understand how game developers go to these things, because they're so expensive and time consuming, and you really can't write while you're there, and you can't do art while you're there.
But you can have a wonderful, fun experience. So we had a blast at PAX. We had an incredible group of fans that all helped out at our booth, because we ran a booth there. And it was constantly like Clubhouse City, where all the fans were gathering. So it was a grand experience. And we'll certainly be looking into what we get to do next year. But again, it's like, well, you can work or you can have fun. And this was major fun.
So I'd really like to go to the, I think the Worldcon is next year in 2020 is in New Zealand. So I'd like to figure out a way to get down there. But it's expense and it's time and all the rest of it. And of course, my past history has been that every time I went to a convention, I came home with the convention crud and was flat on my back for a month. So I've knock on wood, PAX we came home from relatively unscathed.
And yes, so we'll be looking into it next year to see what we can make plans for, what we can fit into our schedule and afford. So we definitely love to do that sort of thing.
And if we ever stop making games, and we'll have more time to go to cons and talk about them.
But we won't have any money anyway.
Yeah. That's the old rule. You either have time to travel or money to travel, but never both at the same time.
That's a really good point. So what have been some of your favorite moments in this creation development process of Summer Days so far?
Well, PAX was a real highlight. I have to say, getting to interact with that many fans and meeting people that we had talked to all over, on Facebook and on Discord and things like that. We got to meet some of these people in real life for a change.
Yeah, we had a fan come up from Australia for that,
wow.
so we got to meet her, and she wasn't even in Melbourne or Sydney. She was way out on the opposite end of the country, and really isolated. So it's just we have fans from all around the world. We have fans in Ukraine and South Africa and just everywhere. So it's pretty neat to get a chance to get out and meet some people.
But in terms of process, this game, Summer Daze, has been a dream. I mean, it was like right from the beginning, we had our artists in place. We didn't have to go scrambling around. We established an art style. Almost immediately, we had a lovely, wonderful art style. And then we had the programming working right away. And so therefore, it's been like so smooth. It's been the best production system that we've ever done.
Yeah, Sydney Hamilton was our lead developer, and she had the game running fairly early so we could actually, test things out, and which we didn't have the luxury on. Road to Redemption, we were probably 2 years into it before we could even start testing anything.
Oh, wow.
It was all, so Laurie was writing madly away, and we had to fix a lot of problems with the tags and such later on. This game, 2 weeks before PAX, Roberta Vaughn, who's been helping us with publicity, said, really it would be nice to have it on Android. And we said, well, that's nice, but there's no time for that. And Sydney said, no problem. And in time for PAX, got the game up on Android. On the way up to the airport, we bought a Samsung tablet and installed it on there. And I put it on my cell phone, and it looks gorgeous.
Oh,
It
wow.
is just absolutely beautiful on a tablet.
So this has been the most fun we've ever had in designing and making games.
That is awesome.
Less stress than usual, except, of course, for the Kickstarters, which are always stressful.
And again, that's Summer Daze, DAZE, at Hero-U on Kickstarter. Gotta keep pushing that.
And we have something coming up we've been working on today, and I hate putting deadlines on, but real soon now, hopefully before our live stream tomorrow, we're going to be adding something new to the Kickstarter, which is add-ons.
Yeah, we're going to put all our add-ons on there so that people can actually, buy their souvenirs right out from the front.
Yeah, we wanted to keep it simple and straightforward originally, and just have the the regular reward tiers and as few of those as possible. But people have asked for a lot of things like T-shirts and soundtracks and art books and stuff like that. So we're going to be making those available as add-ons.
Wonderful.
And you're going to have a lot more options to get things related to the game and to the previous game, Road to Redemption.
Well, as backer 1000, I might have to come back and check that out. I would love to get a shot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're at over 1,100. Actually, we just hit 1111 backers with 11 days to go. So yesterday. So
that feels special. That feels symbolic right there. It's like a good
yeah.
sign.
And we're about 2/3 of the way to the goal, which usually, in our past experience, like for the first game, we were asking for $400,000 to do a major project.
Yeah.
And we were at 300,000 as of about 72 hours to the deadline. It was like, okay, this project's failing.
Oh, wow.
And in the last, 12 hours, it funded. So the last weekend, is really big for these campaigns. We think we're going to do fine in the making the goal, but we'd really like to actually overfund so we can, reach some stretch goals, because we have some really exciting plans for things we can add to this to make it even better.
Yes, like voice acting.
Ooh,
That means right from the start, though, it had to be designed for that, even if we do it or not, so that I don't write scripts that are the size of Harry Potter novels.
Yeah, you
I'm notorious for that. As a to do voices for my games, it merely is a workout.
Yeah, we talked about compressing and laser focus on the story and the characters in this game. Mm-hmm. And part of that is that Road to Redemption takes place over a course of 50 days. This one takes place over 12.
Okay.
And there were basically 3 time segments for doing things plus dinner. So really 4 time segments for doing things. Mm-hmm. And you have a choice each one where you want to go or who you want to talk to at dinner and so on. And that's keeping the scope of the game a little bit tighter so that we can, really, in a sense, the same size. I guess 4 time periods. That's 48 versus 50.
Yeah, gee, what do you know? I still make huge games even when I'm trying to make tiny ones.
But I've demanded that Lori keep the script down to half the size of the Rogue Redemption script, and that'll allow us to do voice recording and hopefully some foreign language translations. We can do, if we get extra funds, we can add in some fun mini games during the course of it. Maybe even have a little bit of combat, Quest for Glory, Heroes Quest 1 style combat. So there's stuff we can put in there that will otherwise be told in a storytelling fashion, and it really depends on the budget.
Oh, that's awesome. Somewhere as far as voice acting, I still wonder if Jean Rhys Davies wakes up in the middle of the night going, no more narration for Quest for Glory 4. No.
I don't think so. I saw a tape of him at a video of him at a convention, and somebody asked whether, in fact, Quest for Glory recording was the CD-ROM from hell, and he completely misremembered it. He said, "Oh, well, yeah, I guess that's because the lines were so short, and no, it was actually the exact opposite." Yeah. But, so I think he's forgotten it entirely.
Yes,
and,
wiped it from his mind.
It's just part of his career, but yeah, he did such an amazing job, and he was unbelievable to work with.
And it was perfect. It was perfect casting. We couldn't have hoped for a better, narrator for our games.
So yeah, that's the good times, is when everything comes together and everything's just right. And during the voice recording for Quest for Glory 4, suddenly, we'd been in despair over that game because the game was released a year before that and wasn't playable. It had so many bugs in it and so many problems that had not had an adequate quality assurance process. And Sierra fortunately decided to do a re-release the following year with the Voices Acted and fix most of those bugs. And that was the year during which just everything came together. The game became, playable and fun, and what we meant for it, and the voices, the actors were just unbelievable.
So you go from despair, which was what happened when they released the Shadows of Darkness at first. It's like, oh, this game's unplayable.
Glory.
Yeah, to glory. It's unbelievable. So this game, game design and development is always a roller coaster ride. It goes up and it comes really far down.
But right now we're in the good period.
Yeah, it's exciting to see.
In 2 weeks, if we don't hit our Kickstarter goal, then we can go into the depression again.
Yeah.
Well, I really hope that doesn't happen. And I know I initially when I had spoken to Roberta and spoken to you guys, I had said something about getting this out Monday. But I am actually going to take time tonight when we're done here, and I'm really going to work hard to push this out tomorrow morning so that we can help push your stream tomorrow.
That's awesome. Yes.
Because I really love what you guys are doing. I really believe in this project. I think it's going to be so much fun. And I as just being completely selfish, I just want more playtime in the world of Hero U. I really enjoyed Road to Redemption. I loved what you guys were doing with that. And then seeing, this new approach to telling a story in the same universe, the same school, Hero U, is very exciting. It's exciting to see that this is growing into a world of its own, just in the way that the Quest for Glory games did. And there's such an audience there, and especially with you pushing, potentially bringing Road to Redemption on the Switch, there's such a big market there for, what their players would consider indie games, and it's very, very popular for games like this on that platform. So it's exciting to hear that Road to Redemption's going that way, and that Summer Daze is being made that way at the outset.
So we're doing a couple things here. This obviously we're funding the completion development of Summer Days at Hero U, so that we've been pretty much taking it out of Road Redemption proceeds and out of our own pockets, our retirement money. So, I don't want anyone to feel bad about that. That's kind of the way business works. But this is kind of a measure to see what we can do going forward. If we can get this game well funded and have it be successful in the marketplace, that gives us an income flow that will let us keep on making more games. And we have just a lot of plans for the future, a lot of cool things we want to do. So this is the start of that. Something else.
Yes, basically, I never write a simple story. This Summer Days ties into the past, into the Quest for Glory games. It ties into the future because actually Hero U Road to Redemption happens the next semester after Summer Days, but then there's whole plans going on for what happens after Road to Redemption.
The other thing we're doing here, I remembered, is that we're actually trying to, bring a new audience into the joy of adventure and storytelling games, because there are quite a few people that like the visual novels from various Japanese publishers and like the dating simulation games like Dream Daddy and stuff like that. That have not really played adventure games because they're scared of them. They've heard all the horror stories about impossible puzzles and unfair situations and so on. So this game is one that is an adventure game, but it's built under the veneer of a visual novel. So people that love visual novels should come into this and will really like it because they're getting a real story by a master storyteller, Lori, and along with that, they're getting a lot of choices and decisions to make. And if they play it 2 or 3 times, they can discover that, they're getting a different story every time. So we're really trying to bring new eyes into the adventure game genre. And, we're trying to spread the love.
Well, Lori and Corey Cole, thank you so much again for joining us and pushing and making games that, frankly, I want to play. I'm just being selfish, but this Summer Days, DAZE at Hero U, this sounds like it's going to be awesome. And it really, the path you're going, I think is going to reach the widest audience possible. And it's just very exciting to see what you guys are doing nowadays. I hope you never have to stop. And I really wish, we really wish you the very best of luck on this Kickstarter. And for everybody listening, we will have this up tomorrow. And so when you hear this, this will be the day of their live stream event. And please go check it out. Please go to the Kickstarter page. If this even sounds remotely interesting to you, I'm telling you, back it. They're very right in that any game that anyone's played by them, when you've played it, you love it. It's fun. It's for everybody. So check it out. Go to the Kickstarter page. If it's tickling the fancy, back it. And can't wait.
And share it.
And share it. Yes, please share it. We will also be doing the same. I'm even going to be sharing it at my day job, and I work for a very, very large software company because they're all
nice.
They're all geeks and gamers, and they love stuff like this. So I can't wait to just help get the word out there. And again, I really appreciate you two coming on, spending some time with us again, and just sharing a window into what it is like designing games at Transolar.
Yeah, we did a couple lectures on the fun factor in games at one point, and talking about quantizing fun and all that. But it was also about who's having fun. Is it fun for the players? Is it fun for the developers? And one of the conclusions we came to is if the developers aren't having fun, the game's not going to be that fun. And I can tell you right now, we're having a ball.
So thank you very much, and we hope you will support us on Kickstarter.
Please do, everybody, and thank you all again, and I look forward to playing Summer Days next year.
Thanks for having us out.
Anytime. Good luck, you guys. Can't wait to see what happens next.